historic day out here on the Mall, but I interviewed a woman who remembers another march on Washington. And she says when it comes to civil rights of any kind, we still got a ways to go.
How tall am I, guess?
I mean, I already have a favorite. I know who my favorite is.
Well, I can't give a name. I think all 9 contestants.
Give me a letter of a person. No. 6'7". Dolly Parton's much-awaited tour is, well, a bust. This is the only thing in this refrigerator that belongs to her.
6'11", like
6'11".
I'm 7 feet.
Amazing. And with so many chatty Cathys logging on, a lot of other websites are finally catching on. And they're even tweaking their content to try and get in on the action. 31% of all new HIV diagnoses here in New York City are women. And 31% of all women living with HIV in New York reside right here in Brooklyn. So for the people at Housing Works, it's all about location, location, location. Star Booty was shot here in New York City's meatpacking district. Sure, now it's full of cute boutiques like Jeffrey's and Stella McCartney. But back in Star Booty's day, it was run down, grimy, dangerous even. The old days. You know, a lot of people are asking, what is it with Florida and the recounts? Supporters of a constitutional ban on same-sex marriage in the Sunshine State recently discovered that, they're short 22,000 signatures to ban same-sex marriage. They thought they had the 611,000 they needed to get the amendment on the November ballot. Turns out they miscounted. Now they have until February 1st to make up the difference. They could still repeal the decision in California, but in Connecticut, the word is final. In Louisiana, Senator John McCain continues to feel the heat for an endorsement he received from anti-gay Reverend John Hagee. Of course, it's not the first time someone has complained about inappropriate comments at a hockey game, which comes, of course, as no surprise to most hockey fans who say the trash talk is actually part of the fun. Under Microsoft's current policy, any language referring to sexuality is taboo. That means even people with the word gay in their names are blocked. The good news is transgendered people stand just as good a chance of surviving breast cancer as straight people with early detection, if they can find a facility to treat them.
Chagmion Antoine has that story from New York. Chagmion.
Ross, it all happened right here. An unwanted sexual advance that ended with one man stabbed. Now the women convicted say they've been judged not for what happened, but for who they are.
I took up for myself, I defended myself, and I protected myself, my own life that night.
In the summer of 2006, while walking around in New York's Greenwich Village, Renata Hill and 6 friends were approached by Dwayne Buckle. They say he made a pass at them, then got real ugly.
I just felt the spit.
Spit, homophobic slurs, and a lit cigarette. They say Buckle threw it all at them before they fought back. In the end, Buckle was stabbed in the stomach. A knife found in 20-year-old Patrice Johnson's purse, headlines screaming about a killer lesbian gang from New Jersey. Buckle claims he was the victim of a hate crime against a straight man, attacked for admiring a stranger. The jury and judge agreed. The women all received sentences ranging from 11 to 25 years.
It makes me feel like I don't have any right or any control to protect myself for whatever situation it is, you know.
The key testimony came from this surveillance camera. Still, even the video seems to offer more questions than answers. How did the weapon appear on that scene?
I'm not aware of how the weapon came about.
Nor was she aware of this man in pink who came to their aid, and the defense says could possibly have been the stabber. The record shows there was no blood on Patrice Johnson's knife. And why would a young girl feel the need to carry a knife on a day trip? Hill says growing up in one of New Jersey's toughest neighborhoods, self-defense was a must.
It's a battle. It's a battle. You know, I've basically been through it all.
However, Hill hasn't been alone.
Hands off Renata! Now! Hands off Renata!
Supporters from around the world have rallied behind the lesbian killers from New Jersey, calling them victims of a homophobic press and jury.
I got by on the mail from complete strangers. At the end of every night, I couldn't just go to sleep because I had so much mail that I had to write back. It was like, listen, I just need money in my account for stamps.
And alongside the hundreds of thank you letters, Hill says she's determined to write her own happy ending.
It's going to be a good ending to my story. You know, I won't let it end me behind bars forever. That's not how my story will end.
Dwayne Buckle and the prosecution couldn't be reached for comment. Renata Hill is still serving a minimum sentence of 5 years in prison.
Walking in here, you know, it's tough. You know, I'm a guy with girl parts.
It's part of the reason Kyle Schuessler avoided having a mammogram. But today, he's facing his fear because he can't have his female-to-male sex reassignment surgery without it. And it's just as well, doctors say transgendered people are emerging as a high-risk group for breast cancer because they're more likely to smoke, drink, have limited access to health care, or avoid treatment altogether.
I have a family history. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother, had breast cancer when she was just a little bit over 60. I live on Long Island. You know, that's enough right there. I'm a smoker.
Add to that, obesity. Kyle said he hid the body he was uncomfortable with under a layer of fat.
Breathe, okay.
But now he can no longer avoid the dangerous reality he was also avoiding.
It's past time. I should have gotten a mammogram when I was 35 years old.
The good news is transgendered people stand just as good a chance of surviving breast cancer as straight people with early detection, if they can find a facility to treat them.
Well, I was worried about how I would be treated, how I would be received, if people would understand and recognize that I'm a guy.
That fear keeps many from seeking medical care. That's an issue the medical community also needs to treat.
People who are out there doing the screening and doing the medical care need to understand that this is a population that is out there that needs to be served.
Kyle just wants the attention to be off his old female parts so he can get back to feeling like a new man.
And I mean, if you look at me, I'm a regular guy. Look at me.
When Terrence Dean broke into the entertainment industry, he was young, ambitious, and fresh out of jail. Running from a troubled past, he hid out in the only place where an ex-con might actually feel welcome: the rap industry. As he climbed the ranks, producing for media companies like Buena Vista and MTV, no one ever suspected he was hiding a jail record. Or one other thing.
There are a lot of artists that I write about who are living double lives, and I know that they're struggling with their sexuality as well.
In his recently published memoir, Hiding in Hip Hop, Dean recounts illicit gay affairs that he said he had with well-known and even historical figures in the industry. Of course, it's not the first time people have suspected that many of rap's thuggest figures aren't necessarily shooting straight. In fact, there's even a name for it.
Homo thug. I really don't know no homo thug.
Why, these homo thugs around here?
I will be on set, you know, and you'll hear, you know, the crew members or an artist using derogatory names and saying things. Mm-hmm. And I would laugh and, you know, go along with the joke and chime in sometimes. But I knew deep within myself that I was actually referring to myself. But it's nothing. At the end of the day, I think people should realize Hollywood and the music industry is all about creating illusions, you know, making people want to fall in love and go out and buy those records of their favorite artists and celebrities.
It's an illusion even Dean isn't ready to diss.
Who is the gay rapper?
Bloggers who had been buzzing about his juicy memoir for months before the book's release were disappointed to find that Dean didn't necessarily deliver the expose they'd been expecting. There are some people who say that since you changed the names that you're not really going the full Monty. What do you say to that?
Well, again, because I want people to know this is still my story, you know, and I'm hopefully we'll create a dialogue that is so needed within our community.
They're not playing on this fantasy that a lot of gay men have, that Tyrese is just going to show up at their door one day and sweep them off their feet.
A celebrity very may well do that.
A little something to think about next time you're rolling with your homies. Chagmion Antoine, CBS News on Logo, New York.
Can you stop playing your rollerblades? I can try. Another reason a lot of people come down to Dinosaur Weekend is they're hoping to catch a little bit of FaceTime with a few celebrities.
I've been up for hours.
Oh, sweetie, come on, love. It's okay.